Hello everybody, and welcome to the final part of Little Nightmares. We are in the residence of the lady, who is the mother of Six in my interpretation. This is the point where we have basically left most of the dream world and we are in a more closer to consciousness realm, and this is shown by the fact that the furniture is not warped. Everything is very normal. It's obviously large, and Six is unusually small, but otherwise everything is less warped. We are closer to the present. We're closer to consciousness. Also, there's a broken mirror. We'll come back to that. Also, mannequins, which are important. The lady, there's a great deal of indication from the mannequin. Oh, there's a lot of indication that the lady, she is very vain. There's an eyeball staring down at me. I don't like that. Oh, if you listen closely. Yeah, you'll hear her humming in the background. It's very haunting. Also, the tune that she is humming is the same tune that played in certain parts of the guest area. It's that da 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 da. Like if you listen for it, it's in one of the sections of the guest area, which I think is important because it's sort of that moment where, oh, this is what this mother character has wrought, and what Six is confronting. So let's take a look at these pictures because these are important. One of those pictures I did mention before, when you're running away from the swarm of the hungry, there's that one very obvious picture of there's that tall woman who's obviously the geisha who is holding the hand of a young girl, and if you ever get a nice look at the girl underneath her raincoat of like a shot of her face, there's some similarity there. Also, covered painting of a girl, and up above the covered painting of the girl there is a picture of 4 figures, one of whom appears to be a kind of geisha figure, and that is clearly a reference to the idea that Six is number 6, but her mother is number 5 and has replaced 4 other iterations. Also, grandfather clock. I didn't notice that before. Maybe that helps to explain the grandfather clock from before, but I don't know. Anyway, this next scene is wonderful, and it really solidifies the idea that I'll call her 5 from now on, really, frankly, because of that painting. 5 really is this mother figure, and 6 has returned, and it's like this haunting. You can see how 6 once remembers 5 being this mother figure, and like, you know, well, you'll just have to see. She sneaks past her. She's like humming. I don't know, man. It's just, it's it's so great. So, okay, now we're in this room. I just want to mention she is looking into a broken mirror because she can't bear to look at herself. That's also why she wears a mask. Some people theorize, you know, the whole reason that she sent out 6 was because, oh, 6 was more beautiful than her. It's a very Snow White fairy tale kind of interpretation. I like the deeper interpretation that, I mean, sure, there's that element to it. But I like it that, oh, she's more beautiful because she's still innocent, she's not corrupted, and the mother envies that and can't stand to look at herself through her daughter. You know, and she doesn't, she can't stand the idea that her daughter would end up having a better life than she did. There's this terrible envy. You'll notice picture of a girl, which has not been messed with. But down here there is a picture of a girl in yellow who is about the same height as Six and has her eyes crossed out in the painting. Also, we're in a bedroom, which has just the whole scene has this domestic feel to it, which I think is very important. Anyway, we're going to tip over this glass, and I'm not going to talk because it's great. So it's like... It's just like the singing just stops. It's so great. And then this music, this ominous music starts up. It's like, I know nothing's going to happen yet, so I don't have to crawl, but it's like I even still just get the natural desire to crawl. And she's gone, right? It's like she's gone. It's just, they did such a good job with racketing up the tension. It's like a ghost story, you know? And we'll go ahead and smash this because I'm a meanie. But, yeah, she has become, in some sense, because she is up near the top of consciousness, if we want to use Jungian theory here, she has become consumed by her persona. So she has become neglectful or overly repressive of her unconscious, which is now bubbling up in the form of Six to destroy her. It's a very Jungian way of looking at it, but she has become identified with her persona, which her persona is her mask that she wears in society. Also, I'm pretty sure that the clock stopped, and I'm not sure about that. But anyway, she wears this persona. She also, basically, as a persona, she is empty. She has become a mannequin, and that's driven home by the fact that when you go into this room, it becomes very difficult to distinguish her from the mannequins. They don't really play with that a whole lot, which is fine, but like when you first walk in, you see that person in the background and you think, is that her? And you're like, no, that's just a mannequin. Also broken mirrors. But it's like that's a perfect kind of jump scare where it's like there's no loud noise or anything, and it's like it's not even set up as a jump scare per se, but you still jump because it looks like her. And it solidifies that also eye on the door. It solidifies the idea that she has emptied herself. Her vanity has turned her into just a mannequin. That's all she is anymore. And she's kind of become a ghost. And this is a great scene. Yep, and there she is. Oh, she's so creepy. Yeah, and then she turns into that dust or whatever. So she's sort of incorporeal. Incorporeal. Is that a... That's interesting. That's like, it's like the door was ripped off of the... Never noticed that before. Huh. Sorry, I shouldn't be exploring at the moment. I'm trying to give you the experience of the game. But yeah, there's all these broken mirrors. And she's like this, she's this ghost figure. And they did this so well because she doesn't really come out to fight you very often. Like, she doesn't do a whole lot, but you feel her presence through the whole scene. And oh, also 3 eyes, if you can see that faintly in the background there. Giant eyes are always watching what's happening. In some sense, it's like now they're watching to see who's going to prevail, who's going to rule me. Anyway, we're going to enter the Forbidden Zone, which is covered over with planks. And it is a room which is full of broken mirrors. It's a hidden off room, kind of implying that it's like a part of the mind that is hidden. Also, it's cold in here. You'll notice that her breath is foggy, which kind of represents she's a ghost. The mother is kind of like this ghost figure. But there's all these broken mirrors in here, and it's like, so why is this one mirror not broken? And I believe that is because... Yeah, there's a musical sting. It is because the mirror, which is the same size as 6, by the way, it's like a big mirror, you know, from 6's perspective. Yeah, and now we're going to have an epic anime battle. But the anime battle consists of me showing her her reflection. Yeah, and there she goes. Okay, we're gonna see how good I do at this. Yeah, there we go. And I think that what's really happening is she is seeing 6. I've said this like twice before, but I remember when I realized that, I was like, I really like that interpretation, because it's just deep to me. I don't know. By the way, that was the first time I shocked her. This is the second time, and I believe you shock her 6 times, which is interesting. I mean, that might just be because they're like, oh, that'd be fun, because it's 6, and we'll do it 6 times, but it could be she's defeating all of the old incarnations or something, I don't know. Yeah, she's gonna try to toy with me. She's trying to see if she can get at me without having to look at herself. Oh, I didn't even think of this, but it's also worth noting, very Medusa sort of thing, right? Where you use a mirror to defeat Medusa by getting Medusa to look at herself and to see what she is, which is how you defeat monsters of many kinds. Okay, this is number 4 that we're on, I believe. Where is she? I don't know where she is. Okay. There we go. It's not a terribly difficult battle, especially when you've done it as many times as I have. But, yeah. Trying to trick me. Trying to trick me. Okay, so yeah, we're up to 5, and this is the final one. This is 6. It shatters the mirror, but it also defeats her. And now we have the final scenes where 6... Yeah, so there you see the lady. I'd also like to note that every time that you shock her with a mirror, she becomes almost less like a ghost and goes back to being more corporeal, where you can see her knees underneath her skirt, whereas in other places it's like she's floating, right? But when she gets shocked by the mirror, she sees herself, it's like she gets more grounded back in reality, and she can't stand that because she is a monster. And this, I mean, she's as human as she ever gets, because you see her neck right there. And it's like, okay, you really are a human. I think lying on the floor over to the right is her mask. So anyway, I think you all know what's going to happen here. 6 has the hunger, and she is going to take it out on her mother. Yeah. It's pretty awful. But that's the story. It's a sort of it's a archetypal feminine horror story. And now the Maw shall give her power, give her the power that her mother had, so that she becomes the new monster, which is what she wanted, presumably. And she never has to hunger again, because she can use her power to, as we will see, suck the life force or something from the guests of the hotel. So we're about to witness that. Yeah, here she is in her dark elevator coming down. You know. Da-da-da. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Who's playing the... Yeah, and there go the lights. Yep, and you see the black material coming out. I'm not really talking about it symbolically, because in all honesty, I don't know... Oh, sorry. Her face just, like, face plants. I shouldn't be laughing because it's horrific, but, like, she face planted and then I couldn't walk around her bun. Sorry. Anyway, I'm murdering everybody. They are all feeding me. As she becomes her mother and exercises the same control where she just exploits everybody below her. And their bodies are then used to feed the next group. She has become the new meaning of the maw. You know, she, because that's what the maw now does, is all it does is digest. It eats and sucks it in. So, and the eye shifts, that it can open up for me. Yep, there we go. And she is going to walk up the steps, and that is going to represent her fully emerging into consciousness, fully triumphant over her mother, and sort of coming into her own as her mother. So that's sort of the terrible tragedy. The other way you could look at it, though, I don't think there's enough to it, is that, oh, she's escaping, which I'll get into Little Nightmares 2 in a moment here, because that'll be coming out soon, but I'll just finish this. So all the little gnomes come out and look and see, oh, well, she's going. It's, like, just poignant, because they were kind of like the ones who helped her in the beginning, and then she, you know, she just left them. So, yeah. And there you go. There's a little after credits scene. And I think these credits... Markiplier, they went on for like forever for him, but they didn't go on forever for me, if I remember. So I don't know what's up with that, but... yeah, anyway, I wanted to talk while we're sitting here. That's Little Nightmares, first and foremost. For a story of feminine succession. If you watch my video, Mother, Father, Daughter, Son, you'll understand why I find this so fascinating. Because I want to understand the archetypal feminine. And I don't know if it gets enough explanation these days. And the fact that it's a story of feminine succession, which is going from bottom up to the top, is the ultimate progression. Little Nightmares 2 will be coming out, I believe, this next week, which is very exciting. For me, it looks like it'll be a fascinating little ride. You have a new main character who apparently teams up with Six, which, of course, I understand that sort of messes with my whole theory with this video, but that's fine because it's a nightmare, and I don't think they had the same degree of symbolism intended as I do here, but I think it works here. Anyway, the new main character is a boy who's named Mono, who wears a paper bag over his face, which is very interesting for a couple of reasons. One is that this is what I like to call common sense symbolism creation, where you get these very profound symbols simply because it's the most natural thing to do. So they made Little Nightmares 1, main character is a female, main character has a diamond-shaped kind of head design, and they are out in the middle of the ocean and they're trying to get to the top of a boat. They're going from bottom to top. So it's like, okay, well, we want to make a new game and we want this game to be distinct. And they don't necessarily consciously think of this, it just sort of happens, because they're like, well, that's too much like the first one, and we want to make a new one. So already the instincts are there for them to make the second one symbolic in relation to the first one. So, okay, we'll make it so that instead of you going from the bottom to the top, you're going from the left to the right, like a more traditional side-scroller, so you have this perpendicularity, which I find significant. Rather than having a diamond shape for the logo, oh, we'll turn the diamond around and we'll make it into a square. So now we have a square and a diamond, and the one's a boy and the one's a female, and we'll have them hold hands as they face this awful world. I'm excited. I'm kind of talking in riddles here. I apologize, but I don't know how else to do it. I'm excited to see. Oh, I can. Okay, I can make it go faster. Wow. Anyway, sorry. I'm excited to see how they did the feminine sort of story here. Now that we have this male character, I'll be very curious to see whether or not it'll be possible to interpret it as being this uniquely masculine story, as it were. Oh, here we come to the end. Because it's the boy, Mono, but he's going up against a male villain this time. So it'll be fun to see if I can interpret it as shedding any kind of insight maybe on the... Well, let's watch this for a moment. I mean, there's not a whole lot. You just see that she has emerged onto the top of the maw. By the way, classic symbol, the maw has a giant smokestack. If you've ever seen The Lighthouse, that new movie, The Lighthouse, or it's not that new now, it's been out a year or two, but, you know, Lighthouse on an Island, that film very explicitly, the director said that he's a fan of Jung and Freud, and so it has very Jungian and Freudian imagery, and, you know, the idea of having a giant smokestack on an island in the middle of the ocean is, a very good symbol of, oh, that is the ego in the sea of the collective unconscious. It has its own personal unconscious, which is the underneath, the under the iceberg. And then the top of it is this phallic symbol, because the phallus is the masculine symbol, and in Erich Neumann, who was a student of Jung, the phallus is, it has to do with the projection of consciousness out of the surrounding ocean. So if you're not familiar with Jungian symbolism, all of this will sound like probably really stupid or just plain weird, but I swear it makes sense and it's really cool. But, you know, you have to read some of these people. But anyway, you see the eye there as well. Before I close out of this, I just wanted to say, finish my thought that I didn't address this because I literally just thought of it now. That it'll be interesting to see, and maybe this won't work out and it'll just be like, oh, I got ahead of myself, but the elements of this that make it this sort of feminine archetypal adventure is the fact that everything wants you, especially that scene where you have all of these giant fat monsters which are chasing this one little girl. I think that is an element, a specifically feminine sort of nightmare where you're being chased by these things that desire you in this way that's horrifying. I think that tends to be a more feminine experience. Not in that only women ever experience that, but that when it's experienced, I think it relates to what I call the feminine archetype, because of this sort of being the subject of desire. So that's an interesting tie to it. I'm trying to interpret it because I don't feel like there's a lot of media that I feel really tries to understand. You know, it's like, okay, we know that there are women and we know that it's important that they're women, but like, does this mean anything on a symbolic level? Like, is there anything more to it? And so I'm trying to figure that out because I feel like it's important and I want to understand it. So anyway, we'll see if we learn anything new in Little Nightmares 2, or if there's cool symbology in that, and maybe I'll make a new video on that in a little while, but we'll just have to see. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope you liked it. I'm sure plenty of people will not agree with everything I proposed. That almost goes without saying, but hopefully you found one or two things that you were like, oh, okay, he's crazy, but he's probably got that right. That's a really interesting way of looking at it, you know, because that's the best I can hope for. So anyway, the final little moment here is the haunting. Yeah. Hear the little horn, which implies that a new ship is coming and she is going to feed. Though in Little Nightmares 2 she shows up in the middle of the woods, so it's like, okay, clearly it's making it canon that really she just escapes on a boat, and I'm not really sure how this ties into the fact that she now has magical powers. So I don't know if Little Nightmares 2 is going to really fit in with that kind of symbology, but we'll see. We'll see. Alright, I'm going to sign off here, but I will see you guys in my next video, whenever that is. Thanks for watching.